Well, from silver in South Australia to gold in WA, please welcome Terry Topping, Managing Director of Kairos Minerals, who are targeting gold in the Pilbara. Terry, take it away.
Thanks a lot, Kerry. This is the way of the future, I suppose. We're here on a Zoom chat.
Thursday?
Yeah, exactly. So thanks a lot for the invite to do this. I'm glad that in some way and form we can get the Gold and Alternative Investments Conference still on the map.
Thanks, Terry. I appreciate that.
So do you want me to just go through the presentation now?
Yeah, I'd love you to, because all our listeners out there are very keen to hear what Kairos has been up to over the last few months.
Yeah, look, the title really sort of tries to sum it up effectively in that we're targeting gold in the Pilbara and we're looking for intrusion-related gold. And the main reason for that is the new Hemi discovery by De Grey. A lot of people watching will have heard about that. Those that haven't, I urge you to go over and have a look at not just the recent announcements, but look at the sort of discovery history of how the company found it. I think going back through old ASX announcements is useful. We certainly do. We look at the sort of techniques that they were using. We modify our programs to, when you're in a new area and looking for new styles, and the Pilbara is quite underdone for gold exploration, you've really got to utilise what you can. So the theme of today will be a bit of what we've done over the last few years, where we're at, but then also what we've learned in the last, effectively only the last few months. It's sort of, it pretty much happened just this year. So
well,
I've got the
good old
disclaimer that everybody will read. Just a brief corporate summary. We've had a few changes lately where we just finalised a rights offer, sort of late last month, this month. That was on the back of a $2.5 million placement. We did at 1.1. We did a rights offer for shareholders at 1.1 cents. We're currently at about 3.8, that sort of high threes, low fours. So that's been pretty well received by shareholders. Gives us a market cap of about 55 million and a nice cash balance of, call it around that 5 million mark, which really gives us the ability to be quite aggressive for the back half of the year, which is fantastic. Exploration, we always like to do more things. Shareholders want you to be drilling and we do too, and when you've got funds, you can go and do it. So I think a lot of what we've got from the last few years, this funding will really help us sort of progress where we're at. Obviously, I'm there as chairman. We've got Bruno Seneca as CFO and Neil Hutchison as our non-exec director on the board, and Eric Sprott's our major shareholder with just around the 10% mark.
It's always a nice person to have on your register, isn't it, Terry?
Yes, as you know, it is handy. I mean, Eric's a very much a gold bull. He'll be loving it, I'm sure, the gold price and the market at where it's at. But he's also got a bit of a long-term investment sort of view of gold and gold exploration, which is really what you need for a cornerstone investor.
Absolutely. Sticky investor. All right. So we got some key investment takeaways.
Yeah, I thought we'd do these first up so people can get a feel for where we're at. Look, we really do have a high quality and very strategic ground position right in the middle of the Pilbara story, where most of our ground is just to the south of De Grey, but very much in the whole, it really does encompass a big area. It's a few hundred kilometres from sort of west to east. So getting around is problematic. Getting access, even though the Pilbara is a fantastic place for mining, establishing tracks and things like that, we've done a lot of that, and we're really on the cusp of 5,000 metres of RC drilling. And that'll be the first drill program for this year. We will target a couple of thousand metres at a new prospect we've got called Fuego, and then we'll go back to the resources at Mount York, where we've already got 873,000 ounces. So that 873,000 ounces really does underpin a real, it's a real cornerstone asset of the company. I'll show in the next few slides exactly where that is. But we do feel like we're in the growth stage. We'll start mining studies on that, but we're very much still an exploration-focused company. And because of that, we look at Kangan and Skywell. They've really got this new Hemi style intrusive targets. One of the ways that De Grey utilised finding Hemi was really detailed magnetics and detailed geochemistry using CSIRO, really fine soil analysis, and then using the targeting from detailed mag radiometric data, which we've now acquired. And one of the other interesting things they did, which we're about to start, and we haven't done up in the Pilbara before, is sub-audio magnetics or SAM surveys to really target your structures and that where you're drilling. So we'll do that at Fuego, Tierra and Mount York. Can't go any further without mentioning the gold price.
Well, it's strong. It's had a bit of a pullback, but you know what? It's in terms of the Aussie dollar gold price, if you can't make money at this price, you shouldn't be in business. That's what I say to people.
Well, I think the gold price in Aussie dollar terms has been good for a few years, and a lot of companies, you know, a lot of the gold exploration and mining companies have really cut back on costs and things like that. So I think the industry is pretty lean, and then you get these sort of price movements that we've seen, and you know, that all grows well for a sector that's sort of growing internally from a cash point of view. I think that's really important. You know, the gold mining companies are making money, but where are they going to put it? You'd like to think, you know, heaven forbid, you know, mining companies paying dividends, but you know, there's a bit of that going on now. The world's changed, and then, but it also goes back in the ground, and more discoveries is great for us because it highlights potential in new areas. So I think that record gold price really helps, and our market cap's at a point now where we can raise sufficient capital to do really real solid exploration. You know, you're not just sort of chipping away here and there. So it's really nice to see that. It's nice to see that move up, and really that's happened in the past 6 months. We've had a significant sort of shift. So with the ounces, we've got effectively 873,000 ounces. They are constrained by depth, so they're very much open pit ounces. We didn't, you know, it's not the sort of ore bodies that we'd be looking at deeper underground. It's a bit too low grade for that. There's already a significant scale there with 20 million tonnes, but we're sort of aware that we want to go out and find more grade and add to this. Yeah. We've got fantastic infrastructure, given if you look on the slide, Pilbara Minerals is there and mining, Artura is there and mining. So when we're doing drilling here, we've got access to camps. There's really everything we need. So we're only 25 k's, I think, off the bitumen with a full, effectively a haul road all the way to site. So we'll be drilling here as well, looking to expand those resource base that we've got, and also looking for more high-grade pods, because we know from drilling in the areas, we've got an area there, Zakanaka, which is a great name, so we have to find something there. We went out there recently and had a look around, and we're pushing access into there, so we'll have a crack at that one as well. But this will be a bit of a backbone for us over the next few months. But what I'd really like to talk about is how do we go to that next level? How do we, you know, how do we do a De Grey? How do we generate that excitement where you go from this level to, well, what are they, about $1 billion market cap?
Yeah, and that's what I was going to ask you, Terry, because are you sort of on the same structure as De Grey? Because you're quite close, aren't you?
Yeah, the same structure is probably not the right term. I'll try and explain it with the next slide. There we go. So can you see my mouse button?
Yep.
Okay, so there's Hemi.
Yep.
Right, and this is the main north-south highway. So just about 50 k's from here, north is Port Hedland. And I can tell you the activity with the iron ore price and things now, it's very hard to get four-wheel drives. It's very hard to get accommodation. There's very few places in town you can eat. It is absolutely flat out, which is a good thing given what's going on with a lot of places. So it's nice to see an area really full of activity. But access for us straight down, as we can get down to our Kangan project here. And you can see these intrusions. It's a very large intrusion. And then you've got smaller intrusions into these sediments here, this big sort of basinal sediments. And Hemi is a small, discrete, intermediate intrusion. And now the idea is we've got a similar intrusion here. There's another big one here, and then this really large one and this really large one. And we've got tenements around the edges at Skywell. We've got tenements around the edges where we found a lot of gold last year here at Croydon, and we've got two main prospects. Fuego is the one I'll talk about, which we're going to drill. And then obviously at this Wodgina and Kangan, same sort of things. And this is our resources. So this is our 873 just here.
Okay.
So you can see there's already a 25k road built all the way up to Port Hedland, but very close to Hemi. So the whole idea for us and what we've been doing is adding ounces here, but looking in these projects to add that next phase. And we picked up a few more tenements, just expanded our footprint a little bit. But we think we've also, at the moment, got a substantial holding in the right area for these Hemi-style intrusives. So the right structure, you can see there's big structures through there. There's big structures through here. So it's not on the same structure, but these style of things, you're not necessarily looking for that. Just to zoom in, you've got Hemi. This is Kangan. We've done a big soil program starting off in here, but really broad spacing. We've flown airborne magnetics, radiometrics, and that CSIRO, sort of 400 by 160 or 400 by 80 soil sampling. So we'll expect results from that in the next few weeks. And it's just a fantastic location for us because it's easy to get to. The areas that are a bit more remote that we've moved out to are Fuego. And this is where the drilling is about to start. And a really large regional soil anomaly on sedimentary rocks within, next to these really big structures. There's a dozer that's clearing the area for, well, it's not our dozer, it's a hired one. We don't quite own things yet. But that's getting ready for the drilling. This specimen gold here on the right is really interesting. It's gold with an aronite, so you can see the grains with gold as a matrix. And this has been a really important find for us on the back of this. We've got a large soil anomaly up to 0.64 of a gram. We'll probably do about 2,000 metres, but it's such a big target. We're going to start here. The plan a few weeks ago was to start at Mount York, but we've been able to get access tracks and the dozer out there and the rig. So this is where we're going to start, which is pretty exciting because as opposed to adding ounces to where we've already found gold in drilling and got resources, this is brand new. And we've been working on this for 18 months now. So, but ultimately you've got to drill holes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so pretty exciting. We submitted the drilling proposal to the government and we got Exploration Initiative Scheme funding from the WA government of 150,000. So you get like 50% of your drill costs back, which is a fantastic, and I see the WA government's just expanded that. So that's a really good initiative to help, you know, with this real risk investment. You know, these are your big risk rewards, these sorts of scale targets. You know, when you've got something that's sort of mineralized over about a 10-kilometre area, it's not something you do a few holes. There's a lot of work to be done here. This is not something we'll be in and done in a few weeks. This will be something that we've been here 18 months and we expect to be here for quite a while in the future. We've already got gold over these sister super sweets down at Croydon. We call this one Tierra. We've got a bit of a Spanish flavour.
Yeah.
Spanish Brazilian, so Portuguese. There was an earthquake. One of our geologists felt the Broome earthquake in this area.
Oh,
And
gosh, middle of
tierra
nowhere.
means earth, so we thought that quite appropriate. And Fuego's fire, so we'll keep going with those sorts of names. But this one here, we're probably not ready to drill this. We'll go back and work on, but it's a really large anomaly. You know, there's 50 colours in the streams here. So the guys were panning and finding gold. And the area to the bottom of this funny shape here, we got about 1 kilo of gold in a conglomerate. But this gold is different. The fact that you've got gold in this conglomerate and this gold here are different. So we really believe that this is very similar. It's part of an intrusion on the edge of the main sister super sweep, but a big soil anomaly. And we'll be looking forward to getting a rig out here. We might be able to over the next few weeks. We've just got to see how a few things pan out. One of the interesting things is the high-grade copper and gold that we got in this rock chip. You know, 16% copper, 4 grams gold in an area up in here. It very much looks like it's all related. And it's a big, you know, that's 1K. So there's a lot going on. We've got a lot more mineralization up here too. So this is a very large area we've got to keep working on. So we're not just sort of generating 1 or 2 targets. You can see that we've got quite a bit to move on with.
You got a lot of work on your plate. Yep.
Yeah, and the area which really sort of jumped out when they found Hemi for us was Skywell. That's actually a well out there. It's called Skywell. So we liked the name. And the first pass rock chip sampling that the guys used, they dropped down with a helicopter about 3 or 4 weeks ago and got up to 4 grams, 12 grams, 2 grams in a quartz vein. So really interesting in this part. You can see the camp down the bottom there. They're currently out there. Not exactly the most salubrious accommodations, but the guys don't mind.
They can see the stars out there. It's all good.
You can absolutely see the stars. There's no problems with that. That's quite a spectacle. And you can see that it's, you know, like I was saying, for us, this is our first work, and to get these sort of results in a first pass, it just shows there's not really been much work done. A lot of the areas, if you can see this image here, the quartz veining sort of in these gabbros, but out on these flats, we'll do all that cyro, ultrafine soil sampling. So that's currently underway, and we'll get that in the lab. And, you know, that's for us generating the new targets. So we've got like a real staged program where we've got 873,000 ounces. We've got drill targets at Fuego and Tierra, and obviously where the resources already are with the Mount York, Iron Stirrup, Old Faithful and Zakanaka. But you can see that with Kangan and Skywell, we're trying to generate new target areas as well, just to keep that story going.
Okay, thanks, Terry. I've just got a couple of questions. You mentioned CSIRO earlier in the presentation. Is that sort of technology really helping you, I guess, fine-tune? Because this is a big area that you've got. You've got a lot of tenements. And I guess from an investor point of view, there's lots happening. So is the strategy to focus, you've got the money in the bank, but is the strategy to focus on Mount York and Fuego, or these new projects seem like they might be taking a bit of attention?
Yeah, we sort of split teams up, Kerry. Like you've got to go and drill what the targets you've found. But when you get a new discovery like Hemi, you've got to readjust your exploration. So we're sort of effectively doing the drilling that we always planned. What we probably weren't going to do as much of, if you ask me honestly, at the start of the year, was going back and doing more soil sampling and magnetics. But when you get a discovery like Hemi and you've got other areas that are potential for that style, you effectively do both. And I mean, that's what having that cash is about. We've put on a few extra geologists, and so we're really running a couple of different teams, and we'll do both. I mean, that's the reality of it. So, you know, shareholders will get that drilling of targets that we worked on for 2 years, but, you know, the CSIRO work is interesting when there's cover. So a lot of the other areas, like at Fuego, there's not a lot of cover. Well, there's none really. Right. You just drill straight into it. So we wouldn't have done that technique there. Just your normal soil sampling worked really well. But these areas of Skywell and Kangan, if you look at Hemi, it's got cover. It's got 20, 30 metres. So we're really in those environments, we have to do different techniques.
Terry, you know this area really well. You've been up in the Pilbara for a while. For many years, it was really considered not a place to go and explore for gold. It's kind of now on the map now. Is that playing out to what you always expected to be finding up here? And I guess, we're running out of time, so I just want to quickly ask you, why should investors start to really take notice of Kairos right now? Because we've got a lot of investors listening at the moment. So why is Kairos coming onto the map right now? Why should they invest?
Yeah, I think, why Kairos? You've got to look at what's happening in the gold sector, and there's a lot of activity, a lot of noise, a lot of drilling, a lot of results. It's very hard to pick where. I think you've got an area where we are next to, in a geological sense, with a real chance of having more Hemi discoveries in the region. And that's not just necessarily with us, but we've got a fantastic land position that we were in there early. So we're an early mover. We've got a lot of experience in the area. We've already got ounces, which I think makes a big difference. You've got something that underpins evaluation for the company. And we're active on the ground. We've got teams of, geologists and fieldies and drillers and earth moving people, and news never comes out quick enough for shareholders, but I can tell you that we're all working very hard to get as much as we can out. And for us, this is the exciting period. Right now, we love the Pilbara in the winter. You can see from the images, it's clear blue skies, 25 to 30 degrees, and it really is the time to get out and about. So you can expect news flow from the company, and we've got that real, we've got that ability to make that discovery. And I'm very much an exploration person who's here for that discovery, and you want shareholders to be there with you.
Good on you. Thank you, Terry Topping. We have run out of time, but you'll be joining us in the Zoom room at 5 o'clock today. So we'll get some questions from you there, and we'll have a virtual drink.